This video is sponsored by Elgato. If you're new here, welcome in, and if you know me, welcome back. And I have a very interesting main channel video for you today. So recently on social media, I saw that ESPN made a sports misery index where you can combine most of your fandoms and it will give you a score of what your misery index is from 0 to meaning like you don't really experience any sports adversity whatsoever, versus if you're in the high 80s, high 90s, it's like, dude, you suffer like year round. Are you okay? So I found that to be very interesting, and I wanted to go through my sports fandoms, put them in the index, but I also wanted to compare with some people from my community, and I posted it out, and you guys gave me hundreds of replies. I love this community, man. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for supporting me and helping me make videos like this. And I'm not going to get to all of them, obviously, but there are some that stood out. So let's go through them together. Before we continue, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it a lot. Also, feel free to comment your sports misery index score along with your favorite sports teams. I really am interested to see like what happens, honestly. So, all right, now I'm going to start here. And it says that you'll be the guide. Okay. So it starts off at 100. Now this is interesting. They don't really tell us the exact form of the index, but they'll be using key data points, including regular and postseason success, as well as a team's expected success going into a season. After all, a team that just won a championship might feel very different about a 500 season than a team that just finished in the basement. Okay, interesting. I don't think we're ever going to see like how the actual hot dog of this gets made, but thank you for telling me where you guys are coming from. Now, before we get started in general, how do you feel about your teams today? Remember, we're talking misery. So I am a Pistons, Bengals, Mets, and Carolina Hurricanes fan. So even though the Pistons had a great season 2 years ago, where we won so few games, I think it was 14. That was crazy. That was like one of the craziest seasons ever. So that's going to be bad. The Bengals, it took a long time in my lifetime to see them win just a playoff game, but then they made the Super Bowl. So I don't know how I feel about that. I'm 29 years old. The Mets, multiple World Series appearances in my lifetime, fallen short, multiple occasions, of course. We had the Andy Chavez catch, amount to nothing thanks to Yadier Molina. But the Carolina Hurricanes have won a Stanley Cup in my lifetime, but that was like 2006. So I was 11. So that was like 18 years ago at the time of making this video. So I'm going to say probably woeful, dude. We're going to start off with 90. Now, for my New York Mets, we're going to start off with the Mets here. New York Mets gets you to an 80. Now, I understand that the Mets have been good recently. It was not always the case here, but I think being a Mets fan is fun. I think that it's really cool. Like living in New York for 3 years, being a Mets fan was really cool. I felt more like a bonding because, like, you know, everyone's like, oh, there's a lot of Yankees, but then you go like to Queens area, a lot of Mets fans. I think Mets fans have more fun, honestly, me personally. So I've been a Mets fan for more than 15 years. Ooh, that puts it up to 83. Oh, they go for the long haul here. Okay, got you. Love this. Let's go to the Pistons. I feel like the Pistons are going to lower this severely. Oh my God, 88? The Pistons, were you even alive for the bad boys? How long you been a fan? Okay, first of all, we're skipping over 2004. Honestly, that 2004 chip, even though I was under 10 years old at the time, we're not just going to skip over that, right? In more than 15 years, I feel like that brings the score down a little bit. But if it was just like, if I was recently a Pistons fan, which I would ask like, what's going on? Like what made you a Pistons fan? Was it Stanley Johnson? Was it Henry Ellenson? Was it Thon Maker? Like what made you a Pistons fan in recent memory? Maybe Cade Cunningham, but like, before Cade Cunningham got there and after Blake Griffin left, it's like what would have made you become a fan? Next team, NFL. We're going to go Bengals here. Bengals, it lowers a little bit until this is probably going to add up a little bit when I add the 15 plus years. So it goes back up to 84. So 84 totally checks out because before the Super Bowl run, there was a long time of the Bengals. The Bengals had not won a playoff game in my lifetime. Like a single playoff game. Like Andy Dalton made the playoffs like 5 times with the AJ Green era, went nowhere. And then our owner is notoriously cheap, like won't spend money. Like even this offseason where he had our first round pick, we were in a weird contract dispute with him and he just got there. And then you have Trey Hendrickson, that whole saga. So yeah, it's really sad because it's like seeing how the Bengals squander good teams or just allow the same thing to happen over and over again is really frustrating. And it's interesting how, I'm not really a big football expert. I'm not a big, it's like one of my weakest sports analysis wise, but something is wrong when I notice. And whenever, it's so funny that people use our team as like social engagement in terms of like, oh, look how cool Joe Burrow looks. I'm like, yeah, he's carrying the squad because our defense is bad. All right, what was this video about? Anyway, all right, last team, Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina Hurricanes goes down to 83 because they have been good as of recent. We've lost to the Florida Panthers twice, but at least we're back in like Eastern Conference Finals contention, right? And I have witnessed the Stanley Cup in my lifetime, so that brings it down to an 82. So for me, an 82 total amongst these 4 teams, my big 4 teams, is fine. An 82 is still high, but I think that each team that I've been rooting for this long of a time has still given me enough moments of joy to where I don't feel like it's like, yeah, okay. But that's the beauty of rooting for a team that isn't always going to be good or always like it makes the moments of joy that much more. It just makes it that much more powerful to me. I mean, like this Pistons run last year, like not only were we not even like we weren't just a play-in team, we were a playoff team. And being able to win our first playoff game since like 2007, 2008-ish, that meant so much as a fan, even if you were alive to see that 2004 championship. The fact that it had been that long since we had won even a playoff game. We had made the playoffs and gotten swept and all that, but it just made it that much sweeter. So I appreciate that a lot more, if that makes sense. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people that root for like a lot of bad teams kind of find comfort in those good memories, even if they're few and far between, they're still good memories, right? I think a big thing here also that I hope that the misery index expands on is adding colleges. I know that college teams, like maybe college football or college basketball, like start with those in all the sports I've been, because like I feel like a lot of colleges, they all have their sports that they specialize in. Like Maryland, not really a good football program, not really a good football team in terms of wins and losses, but great lacrosse team, great soccer program. So I feel like that's really hard to do. I feel like starting with college football would have been a really cool factor in this. I mean, you do have MLS, NWSL, and WNBA. So having those pro teams, those pro leagues here, really cool wrinkle. But yeah, these are my main 4 teams that I've been rooting for over 2 decades at this point, honestly. Now in terms of MLS and WNBA, I think WNBA, I'm really starting to become more of a fan. It doesn't feel like, it kind of feels like I'm a floating free agent in terms of what team I do want to support. Like I have players that I like, but in terms of like a team specifically, I kind of haven't like really planted my foot anywhere yet. I am intrigued about the Golden State Valkyries. Even though I despise the Golden State Warriors, the Golden State Valkyries have a cool new mascot. They have a cool color scheme, and they're an expansion team that started out pretty not like they weren't terrible, right? But then, of course, you have like maybe I'll be an LA Sparks fan. Who knows? As long as I live in Los Angeles, I feel like maybe I could become an LA Sparks fan. I feel like I'm a free agent in that regards. So jury's still out. Now, in terms of making sure my favorite teams are at the top, I think my first one has to be Pistons. Second one, it's going to be Carolina Hurricanes, man. Actually, I could put the Carolina Hurricanes at the top because honestly, that's the team I feel the closest passion with because I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina, and having the Carolina Hurricanes actually be where I'm from, because all these other teams, I'm not from any of those areas, right? So the reason why I'm a fan of these other three teams is because my mom used to be a public speaker and she would travel all across the country. And here's the thing, she knew that I love sports, but neither her or my dad really had teams that they would latch onto, except my dad was like big Duke basketball because he went there. But my mom never really was like, oh, hey, I went to so-and-so, you should root for this, or hey, I'm not. She was never a real big fan of like a sports team. So what she would do is she would travel and bring memorabilia from all across the country, wherever she visited and wherever she spoke. And so, yeah, Pistons, Mets, Bengals are some of the first pieces of gear that I ever got. And then I stuck with those teams. And here we are today with a actual 77 misery rating. So there's that. I think that I'm going to put the Bengals third. And then the Mets fourth. Yeah, I think I put the Bengals third because I think it's easier for me to keep up with a football season than a baseball season. You know, baseball, there's like so many games and stuff. And I've had years where I've just checked out of Major League Baseball or whatever. And I'm getting back into the swing of things now. But there have been like years where my fandom kind of went on hiatus because like it was like, oh, the Mets are going to be bad. Cool. I don't really think that's fair weather fanning. It's just that one of those things is just like it's hard to keep up with the baseball season, especially when I was working at my old job and I had to pay attention to like all the other sports also when I was doing social media. So there's that. So I guess my final results are a 77. All right, flailing. It's not that bad, and I think that's because I led off with the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, let's see here. Carolina Hurricanes, they put them at 15. So Buffalo Sabres are the saddest over 15 years, followed by Columbus Blue Jackets. Detroit Red Wings, man. I remember growing up, the Red Wings used to be like fire, but I guess these last 15 years have been, whew, buddy. So Carolina Hurricanes being actual middle of the pack here. Whereas if you are a Golden Knights fan, Lightning, Panthers, zeros on the board, bro. Pittsburgh Penguins too. For basketball, the Pistons are number one. And I'm going to say right now, I do not agree with this. I don't agree with this because, yes, the Pistons, they lost a lot of games like two seasons ago. But at least the Pistons, in terms of 15 years plus, have had stuff to root for. Like, those teams were good. Like, NBA Finals appearance, Eastern Conference Finals appearances. Yes, we lost to LeBron, whatever. I think that the Charlotte Hornets have never had that kind of joy since I've been alive. I don't think they've won a 7-game series, guys. So according to Real GM, the last time the Hornets have won a playoff series is 2001-2002, where they beat the Magic 3-1. So the Hornets have never won a 7-game series. It doesn't matter to me. Like, the Pistons should not be up here. And honestly, the same could be said for the Washington Wizards. I know they had the Wall Beal years, but I don't know, man. I feel like the Pistons should not be this low. I feel like a lot of this is weighted by the Monty Williams season, because I don't think that I would 100%, 1,000% rather be in the Pistons position over the last 2 decades than the Hornets or Wizards. Orlando Magic different because they made a finals with Dwight Howard. The Sacramento Kings, I think their recent, when they got like 3rd in the conference or whatnot, and they took the Warriors to 7, I think that that's carrying a lot of weight here. Of course, you had the Brooklyn Nets, who, you know, they made the finals back-to-back years with Jason Kidd. The Bulls being up here, yes, but I think that this misery index also not taking into account how truly miserable mediocrity can be, I would put the Bulls in the high 90s. Actually, no, I take that back because they even had like the Rose years where they were like a really good team. So, okay. And that wasn't, yeah, that was about 15 years. Wow, we're getting old. Knicks 88. Yeah, Timberwolves 89. Yeah, historically, this makes a lot of sense. But I feel like the Pistons should be a little bit higher. Sorry, they should be a little bit lower on this list, I think, in my opinion. Mavericks, okay, and then we have the Heat and Warriors at 1-0. The Lakers are at 46. Over the past 15 years, I don't know about that, man. Like, the Lakers won 2 chips with Kobe. They've won, I think the Lakers have won too many championships for this last 15 years to be, and then they won the bubble chip. So I don't know about this. I don't know. It feels like seeing the Lakers, it feels like seeing the Bucks ahead of the Lakers is kind of crazy to me, I think. And the thing is that the Lakers fan base makes it hard to feel like bad for them ever. So that might also be it. Celtics are at 6. Like, yeah, if you've won a championship recently, it shouldn't be below 25. Dallas, yeah, you have, yep, 4. It's been a long time since that Dirk chip. But yeah, I don't think the Pistons should be number 1 here. I'm intrigued about that. For NFL, Jacksonville, oh my goodness, yes. Jacksonville, New York Jets, Cleveland Browns, Chicago Bears, dude. Chicago, like that. I have no arguments with this top 5. In that Raiders Super Bowl where Rich Gannon threw like 5 picks, that was like one of my first early football memories. So I totally get why they're 94 here. Arizona Cardinals, and the Bengals being 21 does shock me, because I feel like us being this close to the Ravens is crazy, and the Steelers as well, because the Steelers I've seen win Super Bowls, a Super Bowl at least in my lifetime, and then I've seen the Ravens win 2. No, wait, is it just 1? Yeah, it was. I don't remember 2000. Okay, but Tampa Bay for sure, and then you have Kansas City, New England, and Philadelphia. Yeah, Philadelphia being a 0 now is, yeah, that checks out. That totally tracks. Yeah, I don't feel bad for any Chiefs fan, Patriots fan, or Eagles fan. So I think this is correct. State by state, happiest states obviously, the Kansas City, of course, and then New England. Let's see where North Carolina is. 55. That has to be Panthers and whatnot for sure. And last but not least, Major League Baseball, Chicago White Sox. Oh, even though I've seen them win a chip in my lifetime, that still tracks. That still makes sense. Rockies. The Marlins being this low for a team that launched in the late 90s and has won 2 World Series, for them to be this low still is one of the most impressive things I've seen in this video. For them to be 94, that's kind of crazy. The Angels, they won in 2002. They're still at a 93, man. I know that this is like 20 plus years ago, but at the same time, it's wild. Like Reds, I understand. Pirates, I understand. Seattle, I understand. But like, there are teams that like won World Series here on the bottom. Athletic Twins, yep. The Mets being 80, I think that tracks. I get that for 1,000%. And then the Yankees being 60s, like, again, the Yankees have a fan base where I'm like, I'm not gonna feel sorry for you. Not gonna feel sorry for you, but you being at 60, alrighty. And then you have, of course, the Cubs are at 50. The Cubs, yeah, they have that 2016 ring. If the Cubs don't have that ring, I don't know where they would be on this list. Surprised that the Cardinals are here. Growing up, no, actually, I'm not surprised that they're this high. I'm surprised that it's 52. But then we have the Giants at 13, Red Sox 21. Then, of course, if you're an Astros or Dodgers fan, no one's feeling sorry for you. But yeah, that totally tracks. These ratings were determined using a combination of regular season wins, postseason success, and expected win data in the form of preseason over-unders. This information was collected for each of the 7 leagues going back to a maximum of 25 years. Okay, got you. So this is like since 2000. Okay, so since 2000, so that makes sense. So it's not even accounting for like 30 years of the Bengals. It's not accounting for some of that. So okay, 25 years makes sense. Postseason results are weighed slightly more than regular season results. Okay, I think that makes sense. That does make sense, but it doesn't feel like it's just a chip or no chip situation. So I get it. So enough about me. I'm gonna go see what you guys said about your favorite teams. So first off, we got one of my favorite YouTube channels, Benchwarmer Brand, at 17 with Patriots, Yankees, Nuggets. Also, I feel like this would be even lower because I know that he's a UConn fan. So this is where I'm talking about where there's like even the college element aspect of it. Some of these scores I feel like would be even lower, but shout out to Benchwarmer Brand, one of my favorite channels. If you love football, sports coverage, go follow him. You won't regret it. Next up, we have Phil Nolan, a Twitter mutual of mine, and he's at a 91. And this is a popular combination. Mets, Jets, Knicks, Rangers. Sometimes I've seen people go Rangers or Islanders. We don't really talk about the Mets, Jets, like the Mets, Jets double. We don't really talk about that a lot, as often as we should, right? We have this idea that everyone that lives in New York is a Yankees fan, but there are some people, or Yankees and Giants fan. No, there's a different side here. There's the Mets Jets double, brutal, and a 91 is one of the highest scores I've seen so far. Like just looking at this, I feel really bad because damn. My boy Tevin, follow your bud Tevin on YouTube as well. 36, and I feel like a lot of this comes from the Astros. I know the Packers have won one championship, like the Aaron Rodgers championship, and the Thunder just won. But if there's anything that's like really shifting the weight of this, it's definitely Calgary. Calgary is definitely carrying the misery on this one. But yeah, that seems like a really nice sports cycle, right? Your baseball team is good. Your football team is good. Had generational quarterbacks for the last 20 plus years. And then the Thunder, you came from Kevin Durant, and now you have SGA and all the draft picks in the league. This will get lower. This score will get lower, man. That's crazy. All right, found another high one. Dagus Max, 91. The Bengals Reds double. Ooh. And here's the thing. I like the Cincinnati Reds. I like a lot of things about them. I like that Ken Griffey Jr. used to play there. I like their color scheme. I like their ballpark. I like their jerseys. I feel really bad that like they just haven't. Just feels unlucky, dude. And then of course, Cincinnati Bengals. I don't have to tell you anything. You guys already know from me. But yeah, 91, man. If we get higher than a 91, man, it's gonna be tough to beat. I found another 91 from Cali Wake, where it's A's, Raiders, Sharks, and I think that's the San Jose Earthquakes. Another 91 spread out through 4 teams. It's interesting that what I find interesting about this person is that all the Bay Area sports, except for the Warriors, you know, I feel like if they were a Warriors fan, this would be so much, the rating would go so much down, I feel like. But I respect it, actually. Like there a lot of Warriors. It was easy. It would have been so easy to join the Warriors bandwagon, but they didn't. Here's an interesting 91. We have Dolphins, Reds, Nashville Predators. That's an interesting array of teams. I would love to hear more about this story. All right, we have a candidate for the lowest score here, Celtics and Patriots. And dude, Boston sports, bro. As someone who scored in such a high score here with like a 77 or whatever, a 4, bro. I can't believe that there are people, you know, I know that it's a math thing, but there are people that are just outside walking the earth, watching sports all the time and enjoying themselves. That's crazy, bro. I have weeks where I see the NFL team on the schedule and I'm like, dude, Lamar Jackson again. That's all that I remember, bro. For the entire week, I was like, bro, we're about to get cooked on prime time. But they're just people out here not worrying at all, just having fun. A 4 is gonna be hard to beat, bro. An interesting thing about Atlanta sports is that they're currently all over the place. It feels like, where you have like the Braves just recently won a World Series, and then you have the Hawks that have been just like, and then of course you have the Falcons. I don't even have to explain that one in terms of whatnot. Falcons is all over the place. Then you have Atlanta United and the Atlanta Dream. So what's interesting here is that Atlanta United started out great, being like 4th in the league, 2nd in the league, 3rd in the league. Then they like bottomed out. Now they're like, well, they won an MLS Cup, it looks like. So I feel like that is helping bring the score down a little bit. I was curious about the Atlanta Dream though, and I didn't know that the Atlanta Dream lost 3 WNBA finals. 3 of them things. So here's the thing. It's like, I don't know if getting a deep playoff run, how that really affects the score. But I feel like losing 3 finals, you know, I feel like that'd be like bonus points. Like the Buffalo Bills Super Bowls, like that has to hurt more, right? Yeah, I think so. Another interesting thing to me is the other side of LA establishment, where it's like you root for the Clippers, but you don't root for the Dodgers, you root for the Padres, but you still like root for the Rams, Kings, Sparks, and Galaxy. So it kind of like, I think, evens out. I think the Kings definitely with their Stanley Cup wins. And of course, the Los Angeles Sparks have 3 championships of their own. And then you have the Rams Super Bowl. So I know that where like you probably see the Clippers lead off first and be like, oh, it's the Clippers. But no, there's some championships in this area. So 55, a really good balanced rooting experience, I feel like. All right, we have a new high score, guys. Chicago, Bears, Cubs, Blackhawks, Bulls, 92. That rating would be even lower if they were a White Sox fan. Just think about that too. Bears, Cubs, Blackhawks, Bulls, man. The Bulls, I don't see the Bulls getting any better anytime soon. Bears is one thing where it's like we all talk about how Bears quarterbacks are just like cursed. Yeah, 92. This might be the winner. We'll have to circle back. This is the new high score. One that almost beats it out. It's not a 92, but Detroit sports. Yeah, 90 sounds pretty, yeah. With the Lions winless seasons, the Pistons season, the Red Wings in recent memory, and then the Tigers, a 90s. Yeah, it's crazy when you get a 90 and it's just the same sports city. That's year-round pain, guys. If you root for 2 teams, you root for 1 team, at least you get an off season. At least you get vacation time. This is just year-round cyclical pain. And for those people that like aren't around this or unfamiliar, dude, it's really wild, because you've been here this long. You might as well stick with the pain or whatnot. It's kind of crazy. Oh my goodness. Okay, we have a 93 here. New Orleans Pelicans, Cincinnati Reds, Cleveland Browns. Oh, first of all, I don't know what team to apologize for first. I think it has to be Cleveland Browns, right? In terms of all that they've gone through over the years. I always think about, for Cleveland Browns, I always think about that guy that wears, he wears a jersey, but for each new quarterback, he just puts their name over it. I'll show you guys. So yeah, whoever this is, where it's like every Cleveland Browns quarterback, we just go through them so much that buying the jersey isn't worth it, because it would just be too expensive. This is like peak sports pain, right, man? Because if you guys can't get the quarterback right, you're never gonna get out of that. So, all right, we got another 93. Angels, Hornets, Panthers. Now, I would be very interested to find out how they became an Angels fan. There's nothing that really comes to mind where I see like any connection between this. But as you all know, that sports fans find different ways to root for different teams. So I'm not like questioning it. I am questioning it, but I'm not like how could you, but I do think that the Hornets and Panthers are carrying this, because the Panthers have 2 Super Bowl appearances, both losses. Charlotte Hornets, we already talked about in full. And then the Angels have they had 2 generational players and did nothing with them, right? I think they might be adding on. It's like the expected preseason win-loss is probably adding on to the Angels score a lot, I think. Another 93, Washington Commanders, Chicago White Sox, New Orleans Pelicans. All right, yep, the Commanders will bring the score down now because Jaden Daniels is great. The White Sox and Pelicans, I don't know if that score will ever change anytime soon, if we're being completely honest. Can't add Manchester United, but I started being a fan of them during the dark ages anyway. So 93, bro. It's gonna be hard to get 94, I feel like. I feel like a 94 has to include like a Browns Pistons fan that I don't see anything higher than a 93. We have an interesting score of 90 where someone put their best friend score in. So we have Marlins, Sabres, Bengals, Wizards. There's a part of me that's like, I don't believe this. Even though I'm talking as a Pistons, Mets, Bengals, I have a hard time wrapping my head around Marlins, Sabres, Bengals, Wizards. And I'm not saying that that's not possible. I'm just being like, dang, I never even considered those combinations of teams. I want to hear this story very bad. Like, I want to know why. That's one of the things. It's like it piques my intrigue for sure. Guys, we found it. Our first 94. Angels, Raiders, Ducks. Oh, and not only is it a 94, it's a believable 94. Because of course you have Anaheim. They have the Anaheim Angels. Sorry, I keep saying the Anaheim Angels this entire video, but they're the Los Angeles Angels. But I will always like consider them the Anaheim Angels. Like, honestly, if we're being really honest, I mean, they're still in Anaheim. Yeah. So the Anaheim Angels and Ducks together, brutal. And then you add the Raiders on top of that, 94, bro. And the thing is that the Raiders like used to be good, but that was like decades ago. There's a whole new generation of Raiders fans that have never known happiness. A 94 is going to be tough to beat. I'm going to be scanning for anything higher than that, but this might be a winner. The craziest one about this one is that we all know that the Dodgers misery score is a 0. So for it to be a 78 from Browns, Pistons, Red Wings, and Dodgers, I don't even want to know what it looks like without the Dodgers. Actually, I can do it. All right, we're going to add the Browns here. That's going to add up to, I'm going to say 15 years, I guess. That's a straight up 100. Oh my goodness. All right, add another team. Pistons. But we're going to give it 15 years. Drops it down to 95. And the next one was Red Wings. I'm going to drop that to 15 plus. That makes it an 89. In 89 of those 3 teams, but the Browns were 100. Oh my goodness, bro. Let's see if the Dodgers still make it. Dodgers put it down to 78. Yeah, so it does track. I'm just impressed. I'm impressed that those 3 weren't a 90 plus. Once again, I have to remind you guys that as sports fans, there are a lot of us out there. There are people that walk around just enjoying life, just enjoying the sports. And the thing is that I will give both of these fan bases, Chiefs and Warriors. If you were a longtime fan of both of these teams, I get it, because the Warriors were horrendous for a long time. I get it. So that totally tracks. Same with the Chiefs. Before like Mahomes got there, it wasn't what it is now. But man, people are just walking around just carefree, loving football life, loving basketball life. That's crazy, bro. We have another 94 here. The Raiders, Pistons, and Mariners. We haven't seen a lot of Mariners in this survey here. Huh. It's interesting. I wonder what made them a Pistons fan. That's what I'm wondering here. But yeah, that 94, bro. That's hard to beat organically. Guys, we have a new high score here. Darius, a 95, bro. Kings, and Dolphins. Oh boy, a 95? I'm just shocked by that combination, first of all. A Kings Dolphins fan. I really wonder how many Kings Dolphins fans are really out there. Like, this is very unique. This is very unique, and it's a combination that I've never really even like thought about. But a 95. Oh my goodness. Dude, I am so sorry. Another interesting 94 combination is the Jaguars, the Orlando Magic, the Minnesota Twins, and the Minnesota Wild. Intriguing. So, I mean, I have not seen all 4 Minnesota sports yet. I'm curious to see what that score is. If I do run across it, I'll show you. If not, I'll just put it in the index myself. But these are 2 Minnesota teams, and then you have the Magic and the Jaguars. The Jaguars probably weigh this down a lot. And I think the Magic were kind of on the lower end, but they weren't on like the bottom tier. I don't remember. But a 94 through those 4 teams, very interesting. All right, we have a 98 combo. Jets, Hornets, Sabres, Rockies. I have a hard time wrapping my head around this combination of teams. I really am. It's just like because here's the thing, where I try to figure out what was like a thing that gravitated them towards that team. Like, was there ever a period where this team was good, or this team had a really cool player? Like the Hornets, I get the jerseys part for sure. The Jets, Rockies, Sabres combination, I just don't. I mean, Jets and Buffalo still in New York, or New York, New Jersey, whatnot. It's intriguing. 98. I don't think we're beating a 98. But it's hard. You see, but the thing here is that it feels like it's hard to have a high score. It's hard to have like this highest score and make me be like, dang, bro. Like, there probably are people that do walk around Jets, Hornets, Sabres, Rockies. But I lean towards the like Anaheim, Ducks, and Angels ones more, because it's like they're all in the same city. So I totally understand that. And this is coming from someone that has rooted for teams that have been bad for decades. So I understand how you can get to this point. A 98, though, is kind of like if this is real, I feel so bad for you. I can't name a single highlight from any of these teams. Like a single happy moment. Like, I'm a big Carlos Gonzalez fan. I was a fan of his swing. I can't name a single highlight from any of these 4 teams in the last 25 years. I just can't. I just don't. I have nothing. Then we got Bengal. Shout out to Bengal, one of my favorite YouTube channels. Yankees, Giants, Houston Dash, Indiana Fever. Now the Giants, you got the 2 chips. Of course, Yankees. Yeah. But so, yeah, I think this levels out really well. And 55, I think 55 is not that bad, guys. We've seen the depths of hell. We've seen the depths of hell today. I'm still thinking about that 98. That's kind of crazy. Like, that'll be burned into my mind for a while. Jets, Hornets, Rockies, Buffalo Sabres, bro. 98. And then we have a DC Sports one, 93. Orioles, Commanders, Wizards. Well, DMV Sports. Orioles, Commanders, Wizards, New Jersey Devils, 93. Oh, boy. Dang. Now, as a fun little bonus at the end, I'm going to try to make the worst rating possible. So we're gonna start with Woeful, and we're gonna start, obviously, Cleveland Browns. That was a layup. 15. Yeah, that was a layup. That's a straight up 100. It's straight up 100. All right. Now Pistons was a 98 for some reason, so that's that. So that gives it to a 95. So even getting to a 98 is wild to do. We're gonna add another team here. For hockey, I think it's the Sabres still, right? Buffalo Sabres, 15 years, makes it still at a 95. And we have Major League Baseball. I'm going to go White Sox. I think it's White Sox here. And then that goes down to 93 though. So I'm guessing that those teams, I feel like those scores that was 98 was a short-term score, like the last 5 years. I feel like that one's like a last 5 years kind of thing, because I feel like the longer the sample size, the lower the misery rating goes, because then you have more time for like an up and down kind of thing, right? Let me see the results here. Or it actually depends on if that makes it. No, that makes it 90. Okay, so then Pistons 90. Sabres, 90. Does the Fever make it go up or down? Fever makes it go up to 93. Okay. Now, Brown Sabres, let's see if we get rid of the Pistons here. Goes to 97. So the Pistons actually bring it down over 15 years. So that's 97. So what's an NBA? So I feel like it has to be the Hornets that bring it down, right? Last 15 years. That's a 96. But if I see the results here, right? 96. Okay. Oh, I could have put Jacksonville. But that's the thing here. It's that the Cleveland Browns were listed as 100, but then here they're put down as a 96. So I don't really understand that, but that it is what it is. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for watching to the end of the video. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, and I have a lot of fun doing these Ask the Audience type videos. Sometimes they'll be on the main channel, sometimes they'll be on the second channel, which is Kofie 0.5. And I love you guys. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. This video is sponsored by Elgato. If you've ever thought about dipping into the realm of content creation or streaming, Elgato is your one-stop shop for all of your equipment needs. Right here is a representation of my current setup. As you can see, they have cameras, lighting, green screens, capture cards for gameplay, and stream decks to help you streamline your productivity levels. My newest favorite gadget from them is the Elgato prompter, which helps me read through scripts when I write out my videos and saves both me and my editor so much hassle. Elgato products are simple to set up and have a seamless fit between the products. I've been using Elgato for over 6 years, and it's been awesome to see them still striving to improve and evolve the equipment year after year after year. If you're interested in Elgato products, please click the link in the description below for a discount. Thanks again to Elgato for sponsoring this video, and thanks to you guys for checking out the sponsors. It helps me out both short term and long term.